How to record a podcast from 2 locations. A lot of people might want to try this because, well, first of all, there's several different situations where this would happen. Either, well, like it says, 2 locations or even multiple locations. What we're going to cover in this video is going to cover all of that for you, and you should be able to use this technique across the board. So let's get started. By the time this video is over, you're going to know 2 quick methods. One is a paid method, and one is a free method that you can record a podcast episode from across the country, 2 different locations, 2 different scenarios, and we are going to have one heck of really nice audio once we're done. So let's dive in. First is the free version. What you're going to need is some type of online software that is going to do some type of a group meeting. The key word that we all learned during the pandemic was Zoom. Whether it's Zoom or Microsoft Teams or Google Meet or any of the others that are out there. There have been others for quite a long time, long before the pandemic, that's for sure. But now that we're all used to using them, pick your favorite one and get to recording. Here's the situation. You've got everybody across the country. Now you can just do, I know the title is How to Record from 2 Locations. So that would be presuming you and one other person. Are they a guest? Are they a co-host? Really doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is they are in another location. They could be 15 minutes away across town, or they could be 15 hours away across country. The big thing that you're going to run into is the fact that they are probably using a very different microphone from you, and they are obviously in a very different room than you. Now, they could even be outside too, maybe sitting on their back porch, maybe sitting in a city park. A whole bunch of factors come into play that will affect your audio. Maybe not so much the video, if that's what you're going for, if you're doing the video podcast kind of thing, but if you're just recording it for the sake of the audio, yeah, there's a bunch that comes into play. First and foremost, no matter what you're using, and I know this is specifically in Zoom, you're going to want to go into the audio settings and make sure that everybody on the call, in this case it'd be you and the person you're talking to, whether guest or co-host, and make sure they have a separate audio file. The reason being, if you try to do yours, if the 2 of you end up on the same file, somebody's going to be louder than the other person. You're going to be looking like this on the audio. And the other thing is going to be everything else with the audio. Reason being, audio recording is 10% microphone and 90% the location you record it in. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be in a studio, right? Every once in a while, somebody will be outside. But using the right mic and treating the room the right way so that it catches the echoes. You've got some bass traps up or something like that to soften some of the echoing, bouncing around sound. That type of stuff, well, you're going to be in 2 different locations. Frequencies are going to be different. The entire room treatment's going to be different. And chances are somebody's going to be in a decent recording zone and somebody else is going to be at the kitchen table, in the living room, maybe sitting in the closet. I mean, who knows? Closet would not be a bad thing. Your clothes actually do a really good job in absorbing the sound. But 9 times out of 10, somebody's just going to set up and just hang out and discuss things, talk with you while you're doing the recording. That's where things kind of get ugly. So make sure you've got separate audio tracks for everybody on there. That way, when you start messing with them in post-production, and again, remember, the first scenario was one person's really low and the next person's really loud, the next person's really low, and then the next person's really loud. And you just keep getting this back and forth audio. When you go to correct that, you can just bring up the volume on the one that's low, and it will affect everything because your voice is not on their track and their voice is not on your track. And that way you keep them separate. You can A, mess with volumes, but then it also makes EQing and it makes compression a heck of a lot easier as well. So keep them separate. Keep your audio tracks separate. And once they are separated, it makes post-production so much easier. So if this is something you're thinking about, if you're wanting to do a podcast or something like that, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. That's what we cover here. Anything from YouTube and YouTube podcasting to audio podcasting to radio commercials, all this stuff that you can set up for your personal business, your own business, and use them to bring in clients and customers. So be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss anything. Now, I said the second version was a paid version. You know all that stuff that we talked about earlier with Zoom and Microsoft Teams and Google Meet? All that, but just paid for. Of course, with a Zoom, you get unlimited time. You can have a few more bells and whistles with it, longer recording time, stuff like that. It's all still the same thing. You're just paying for it, and that gives you a few more enhancements. Not a whole lot, but you don't have to worry about the time constraint. If you had a flub in the first one, instead of turning it into 2 files and trying to edit them together, you can just keep talking. If you end up being 1 hour and 15 minutes for a 30-minute podcast, fine, so be it. You can still edit that one file and you don't have anything to worry about. Now, back in the day, we used this thing called ISDN. It was a really fancy version of a telephone line that let you record from studio to studio. They have something similar to that nowadays. It's not the true ISDN. In fact, there are a few people, and I've heard some stories where somebody was trying to set up a new recording studio and they wanted to add ISDN capabilities. They called the local phone company to order it, and they asked, hey, do you do ISDN still? And the very young voice on the other end of the phone said, I've never heard of that. Hang on just 1 second. And they got someone who had been working at the company for like 20, 25, even 30 years. And they said, yeah, I know what you're talking about. We do. I think we got one more receiver in the back room. You can have it. How about that? We'll set you up with the service. But seriously, there are a lot of people who never even heard of ISDN, and that used to be the backbone of inter-studio recording. Nowadays, what we've got are other versions that emulate or act like ISDN, but they're not. Stuff like Source Connect and a couple other services that are very similar to Source Connect. They do the same thing as ISDN, connecting studios to studios, much higher quality audio. It does sound better. It does give you a better quality audio throughout the settings and specs and stuff like that. So you end up with a really nice product at the end, and it's really nice for when you step into post-production. The EQing works out really nice. The compression is very, very nice. No more artifacts and stuff like that. It's a lot cleaner audio than just using regular audio over it, like the Zoom audio. There are certain specs to audio, and Zoom kind of caps that. So it's not a low quality audio, it's just not a good quality audio. Does that make sense? See the difference? So these other services that are geared towards audio production do help, and they do give you a much better quality. There's a subscription that comes with that, so that would be an extra expense. And there's another one that is actually invented for this, specifically for remote recording in 2, 3, 5, 17, 22 locations, and that is Riverside.fm. I do not have an affiliate link with them. I'm just mentioning it. I know it's out there. You do end up having to host your stuff there at Riverside, but you know, if this is what you're looking for, if this is what's going to be the backbone of your podcast, you might want to consider hosting it there. They do have some other great features that you can use to help advance your podcast, monetize your podcast, advertise, market it, all kinds of good stuff like that. So it'd be worth something looking into. But Riverside.fm is definitely one of the other services that I would look into if I'm going to be doing a whole lot of remote recording, multiple location recording. So I hope that helps. Good luck in your endeavors. I wish you the best. And one other thing that I can do for you to get you up and running quickly, look down below in the description and you'll see a link for a free guide to free audio editing software. Whether you've got a Mac or a PC, whatever you do your editing on, I've got a long list of several programs that are all free, some pros and cons, some beginner, intermediate, and advanced level type stuff. All of it is on there, a little bit of a commentary, and that it's all free. That's the best part. So you can try out the ones you like, find the one you like the best, which one makes sense to you, which one's the easiest for you to use, and then run with that one. Enjoy, have fun, and good luck with your podcast. I'm Nic Natarella with AdWise Creative. Thank you for watching.